Hello and welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television right now where you, the MSME, get center stage to voice your concerns, to voice your thoughts and your opinions. This is ET Now's daily special initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center on every industry and area that matters to you. Today on the show on Direct Connect, we have a panel of experts answering your queries, and later on we will feature mSwipe on our Small Giant segment. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for being with us here tonight, and let's kickstart the show then with a question that has come to us from Bipin Kulkarni. He's sent us this question, and let's in fact hear him out. Bipin.
My question revolves around the finance to MSMEs. I just would like to know, there are so many schemes government is announcing, like recently announced Mudra scheme, where we hear that they have allocated larger funds in this budget. But we are not aware how to approach for these kind of loans, and where to go, and what are the things they will look for in SME, and overall how to go about it. That is what we would like to know, which has not been emphasized anywhere. So we would like to know how to approach that.
Thank you, gentlemen, both for being with us here tonight. And so we are experimenting and, trying different formats. And we've gotten a query which is coming from Bipin. And maybe I can start with you, sir, to answer his question specifically on the different schemes which are available.
It is true that there are many schemes for financing SMEs, but they are not as complex as they appear. Basically, financing SMEs would involve providing working capital, providing term loans, providing equity assistance or capital subsidy, and there are some special schemes which have been announced and implemented by the government and certain agencies like SIDBI. Basically, as far as the customer is concerned or SME unit is concerned, he has to deal with the primary lending institutions, that is basically commercial banks, NBFCs or cooperative banks. Second layer is SIDBI, and third is the government, where certain schemes are directly operated by them. And special schemes which have been launched by the government, for example, Mudra, which is Micro Units Development and Refinancing Agency, which is a subsidiary of SIDBI now, wherein up to 10 lakhs of finance is provided for micro and small enterprises, which should not be into farming sector, and it should be an income generating units. So there Mudra Finance, and I believe that more than 5 crores loans have so far been already disbursed. Then there is CGT SME, that is Credit Guarantee Trust for SMEs, where the limit has been raised from 1 crore to 2 crores. So primary lending institutions, that is banks and NBFCs, they can approach SIDBI and get the credit guarantee, and against that they can, without collaterals, they can provide loans to SMEs. Third one is credit linked capital subsidy scheme, which is operated through SIDBI by the government, where 15% of the investment in plant and machinery is being provided. That is, capital subsidy means free. Then there are others like Smile for Make in India, which is operated by SIDBI, and there are new NBFCs which have come up, where they provide online finance to SMEs within 48 hours also. So there are a number of schemes, but basically they fall within this framework.
Okay. So in the last season, and you're well aware of this, we used to talk about what was happening as far as financing goes for MSMEs. A lot of them said, we don't have the information. We're still talking about the lack of information, but I just want to change it for you very quickly, Vishal, and ask you, the world is changing for MSMEs and for corporate India, GST, IFRS, for example. In that scenario, what would you want them to keep in mind when it comes to raising funds?
Okay. See, I'll share one very interesting thing which has recently come up. With the introduction of GST, what is happening in particularly is that now SIDBI is setting up another undertaking, which will be known in the name of Receivable Exchange of India. So they are now coming up with more avenues of financing MSMEs, wherein they can fund their working capital, especially their receivables, by factoring. So factoring is an arrangement where, you know, if your customer is going to pay you in, let's say, 60 days time, you can approach SIDBI and tell him that here is a list of my customers who are going to pay me in next 60 days. So you can actually take 80% of that list of customers that is there, and SIDBI will provide you funding at a very, very low rate. Erstwhile, it was possible only in case of exports, not in domestic, because the customers were not known. Now with GST coming in, the GST network, the data on the GST network will serve as a credit score for a lot of customers, because all their invoices would be reported on the GST network, and based on that information, Receivable Exchange of India will assess that how much of this customer is liquid, and that kind of funding can be made available to MSME.
Trust that answers your question, Bipin. And in fact, we have another question which is also coming in from Sharat Kumar. Sharat has written in to us to say that he's into the banking software development service industry. He says there's a lot of attrition when they train people and these people leave, slowing down their progress. He says he wants to know how they can really go about resolving this issue. He's written in to our experts to say what is the best solution for him. Each of you gentlemen have worked in large organizations, have worked with teams, heading teams. So maybe from your own personal experience, one or two quick tips that you can share with our viewers about how to retain people effectively.
Okay, one is of course, see, there needs to be a formal structure of HR. So let's say an HR policy handbook addresses 80% of the challenges, because if an employee knows what is the leave policy, whether, you know, he can take a loan from the organization, what are the work timings, internet usage policy, etc., it gives him a lot of confidence that he is working for an organization which is highly structured. So that is one. Second is following HR procedures, like when you join, you give an offer letter, there is an increment, you show a very clear growth path for an employee, as to, even if it's a startup and you don't have too many levels, you know, you can give a certainty to an employee that, you know, you are at this position and there will be a team which gets created above you and below you. And thirdly, if you are talking about employees joining at a very senior level or very, very close to the founders, and if you are looking at retaining them for a longer term, a kind of a quasi ESOP, which is generally practiced by large cap companies, because see, a startup today uses their own stake or their own percentage of shares as a currency, whether they give it out to investors or whether they give it out to employees as a stakeholder, because employees also at the end of the day very critically valuable resource which will help the company to go on to the next level. So a quasi ESOP kind of thing could also be considered. So these are 3 tips from my side.
Okay, Mr. Dalal, in fact I want you to answer the next question, because that's also related to HR. Prabhakar has written in to us to say when you recruit the next level of command, what do you do about passion? Is passion something you can, you know, sort of encourage, like Vishal was saying, by giving, say, quasi ESOPs, or it's something that you have to recognize in people when you hire them?
Yeah, passion of course comes from within, and therefore when you select person second in command to the founder, selection process should be such that the person who is being selected must be interested in that kind of activity deeply. You should want, like founder wants, for example, if he is into healthcare, he may be into software development or whatever activity the unit is undertaking, he must be deeply interested in that. He must be wanting to achieve something in that. That is one thing. So selection of right person who has the flair for that activity, who has the aptitude for that activity, and of course he should feel he is an owner of the unit, co-owner in a sense, like providing some equity stake or ESOP or that kind of thing. So he will want to do more like the founder does, mainly because one, he is interested in that kind of activity, he has got the passion for that, plus he has a stake in that because his equity is involved in that. So if you give a bit of equity to the new person who is going to join, he will also feel the same way.
Time for a quick break. When we come back on the other side on our Small Giants segment featuring mSwipe. back. You're with us here on The Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on Small Giants, we're featuring mSwipe, which is changing the face of the e-commerce industry. India currently has nearly 15 million SMEs, and mobile payments of SAIL is the only channel which can effectively link these SMEs to mainstream financial services and digital commerce. mSwipe is a portable POS machine and merchant acquirer and network provider. Pooja Jain brings you her point of this story.
mSwipe has helped us in many ways.
mSwipe is like good for us. Business बहुत अच्छा दे रहा है.
We use mSwipe for our retail customers who come to our shop to purchase their newborn baby products.
It's a very good machine. There was a tremendous increase in our business.
और लोगों के क्रेडिट कार्ड्स है, लोगों के डेबिट कार्ड्स है, तो इसके लिए सबसे बेस्ट वे है क्योंकि ये यूज़र फ्रेंडली है, आप हाथ में लेके घूम सकते हो.
And it is very convenient for them and also to us in this cashless India.
India is going cashless, and payment platforms that dare to innovate are ushering in a new era of digital commerce. Mumbai-based mSwipe has MSMEs embracing the change with its end-to-end mobile point-of-sale solution. So when it comes to the age-old practice of processing payment, mSwipe seems to be bridging the gap between the physical and the digital.
So let's dive right in. How does the mSwipe payment solution differ from existing point-of-sale terminals or more traditional methods of payment for that matter?
You know, I've watched with very curious interest as you know, phones have become smartphones and TVs have become smart TVs and watches have become smart watches. Terminals, unfortunately, just remain dumb terminals, right? And it's mSwipe's endeavor to deliver smart terminals. Existing point-of-sale solutions that are delivered by banks in this country so far have honestly been a copy and paste of what exists globally. One thing that we've really focused hard on at mSwipe is to deliver a solution that is simple for users to use. And trust me, simple is very hard to do.
How challenging was it to build a payment solution that complies with existing industry standards and standards of security in particular?
So when we actually started the business, because there were no chip and PIN cards in the country and there was no regulatory mandate for chip and PIN, we decided to launch a solution that was a magnetic stripe only solution and a non-EMV solution. We started up our service on 16th August of 2012 with a magnetic stripe only solution. However, to our surprise, early 2013, the RBI, mandated that the country needs to move to EMV chip and PIN. And what this essentially meant that we had to pretty much jettison everything that we had, built in terms of product and solution, and re-engineer our platform and products to deliver an EMV chip and PIN solution. That was really a tough period and a defining period for the company. Our original terminals, which are magnetic stripe only, were really small. You could plug them into the audio jack of a mobile phone and you had a terminal. But it's not that easy to do a small terminal which can work with a smartphone and can meet all the security requirements that are mandated by the regulator and the card schemes. Well, it took us a fair bit of time to deliver what we know is clearly the country's first Bluetooth-based chip and PIN terminal, delivered in October of last year. What we believe is clearly, I'd say, a global first, as a mobile POS terminal, which is a complete standalone terminal and has multimodal ways to transact, right? I mean, the user can use built-in SIM card and can use a Wi-Fi modem, can connect to a Wi-Fi network and can transact. Alternately, can also use Bluetooth to connect to his phone and still transact. Right? It's an extremely small terminal, very portable, 300 swipes to a single charge, and very, very simple to use.
You haven't just designed a single payment terminal, but an entire range. Why the need to diversify?
What I find really funny is, banks who've been in this business for very long deliver the same type of terminal to a big bazaar and to a small kirana store. I mean, their needs are clearly different. A simple mom and pop shop, or even a service provider, like could be a yoga instructor or a teacher that's delivering services and wants to get paid. The requirement of the terminal platform and the merchant is just to be able to accept a card payment. However, you also have mid-sized customers and larger enterprises whose needs are very different. Their needs are, of course, besides the ability to be able to accept a payment, they need mobility. They need the ability to be able to integrate all of this payment information into their mainline business processes and information systems.
mSwipe is not just card agnostic, but ultimately it's bank agnostic. Was that a conscious part of developing the solution and its original design?
Our merchants also have the capability to be able to accept a wide variety of payment instruments, right? It could be, NFC, which really hasn't kind of entered mainstream in India, but it will do in the future for sure, because that's what's happening globally. It could be electronic payments like UPI, could be Bharat QR, could be wallets, what our platform essentially enables merchants to do is to be able to accept a wide variety of payments with a single window for payment and settlement, recon, support. Rather than having to deal with a multitude of service providers.
How does a merchant integrate the mSwipe platform into their back-end operations and billing processes?
When we were kind of developing our platform, like I said, what we really wanted to achieve was a different, smarter platform. It's extremely easy for enterprises to be able to integrate their solution with our payment platform. We provide wide range of SDKs and APIs. Where we differ is we're able to do all of this on slower networks, right? So our transaction times and speeds are just as good on 2G networks, for example, as it would be on a bank's 3G terminal. So that's where I think we innovate because SMEs who use our products are not possibly in the best connectivity zones. Mobility is an important aspect of our solution, and being able to deliver the same transaction experience at lower connectivity speeds is something that is more relevant.
The mSwipe payment terminal is entirely paperless. Receipts are purely electronic. Is this a reflection of consumer behavior or the company's desire to go green?
Honestly, it's a combination of three things. Number one is we need to deliver low cost terminals, and to be very honest, this whole option of building in a paper receipt module or printer into a terminal adds to cost. Also compromises on various other aspects of the device in terms of size, form factor, battery power requirements, things like that. So from a terminal perspective, and an engineering perspective, we find it extremely easy to kind of let that go. It's clearly a desire for us to go green. I mean, from personal experience, I've never really cared much about receipts that get spit out by terminals, and I always wondered why I even needed it, because I'd honestly almost immediately dispose it, and it is a gross waste of paper.
So we seem to be in a storm of financial reform at the moment. Here at mSwipe, do you view that as a challenge or an opportunity?
It's very rare that you find a large market, the regulator aligned and the government aligned, all pushing for a common goal. At the same time, one of the most difficult things in business that I find is how do you change consumer behavior. In India, and I've spoken to a lot of merchants around the country, trust me, we're a society that's deeply addicted to cash. and the big effort from the government really helps. So I'm very happy that we are in this moment of time.
With its remarkably diversified customer base serving as its biggest proof point, the company's card-agnostic and bank-agnostic model only adds to the terminal's versatility and appeal. A champion for design simplicity alongside robust platform security, mSwipe is empowering MSMEs all over to swipe their way to a cashless India.
That wraps up our episode tonight. Do remember that if you have any query for a panel of experts, or you are a company that wants to be featured here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, you can always get in touch with us on leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT, or tweet at me personally at Sunanda_J, or do call us on that number you see on your screen. We promise to have all your queries answered. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.